or tool for controlling risk by guiding the selection of the most appropriate control for a given risk. Some types of controls are more effective than others. The most effective control in the hierarchy is elimination. This is where you completely eliminate the risk by removing the hazard. For example, using extendable tools to eliminate work at height. But eliminating it's not always practicable, so other forms of reducing risk must be considered. The next most effective layer in the hierarchy is substitution. This is where you replace the hazard and reduce risk with a lower risk alternative. For example, replace toxic cleaning agents with a non-toxic alternative. If both elimination and substitution cannot be implemented, isolation should be the next step. This is where the hazard is separated from the people at risk by isolating it. Erecting barriers around open holes or trenches would be an example of effective isolation. The hazard still exists, but the risk of exposure has dramatically reduced. The following control, if others cannot be applied, is engineering. This is where systems are used to reduce risks through engineering changes or changes to systems of work. Using lifting devices such as trollers or hoists to move heavy loads reduces the risk of manual handling injuries. If other control methods are not viable, administrative controls are applied. Administrative controls are work methods or procedures designed to minimize exposure to a hazard. For example, signs warn people of a wet floor to minimize slips, trips and falls. By now, you're seeing how risk control is becoming less effective. Personal protective equipment, PPE, is the last line of defense and should never be the sole form of risk control. When worn correctly, PPE acts as a barrier to limit exposure to hazards. PPE, such as hard hats, goggles, earmuffs, respirators or face masks, safety footwear, sunscreen, etc., must be used to supplement higher levels of control. Once controls are implemented, it is vital to constantly monitor the effectiveness of those controls and re-evaluate if necessary. An important point to remember: several types of controls from the hierarchy may need to be implemented together to achieve effective risk control.